Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Now, we're going to be looking at wet floors and leaks. So, we're going to be covering all leaks on the Mark IV Golf, what causes them, and how to fix them. Now, I won't be going into loads of detail exactly how to fix them, but I'll be pointing out all the leaks everywhere from the front to the back. So, a common leak is to have a wet driver's side floor. Now, this is going to purely depend on whereabouts it's wet, to depending on the possible causes. So, first thing you would want to be doing is to be checking exactly where it's wet. So, if it's wet here and up to about here, then that is some causes. However, if it is wet right up to the back there, then that's some other causes. Now, we're going to assume first that it's wet up there. Okay, so I will go through the list first of what possible causes it could be if it's wet up here. So the possibilities for a wet carpet up by the pedals are found underneath the scuttle panel. First thing is this cable here. That is your bonnet cable. Now that will go into a grommet, which then goes into the car. Now they're prone to leaking. The other thing is underneath here is also a electrics box. Now that could also need resealing. Now I don't want to pull any scuttles off any of these cars because putting scuttles off these cars, they can be a real pain to get back in. And as you can see on this particular one, it's broke already, so I don't want to be causing any more damage. However, I do think I have a few pictures somewhere of the underside of the scuttles. Right, now for the bottom of the carpet, where you actually put your feet. So if you put your hand down the side of here, this could be wet. Now, the possibilities for this are, one, if you have a sunroof, you're going to have sunroof drains. Now, they will leak, and if I just position that camera just up just a bit, right there at the top of your screen, that is your sunroof drain. Now, that's got a bit of water on it. Now, that looks like it's been dripping down here and onto here. So that can then cause issues by flooding into here. Now, the other thing is, now this is usually the most common, is the bottom of your door. Behind this plastic door card, there is a metal panel. Now, that is got some like a sort of foam backing on it. And what happens is when it rains, the water will run down your window and then it then runs into your door and then it will then run out the bottom on these drain holes. Now, your door has drain holes on the bottom, okay? Now, sometimes what happens is that the seal between the panel and the door um, basically gives in, and then you end up leaking between the door and the metal panel. So you'll need to take the panel off and reseal that panel. And the easy way to tell this is by putting your hand underneath your door card, and if you've got a wet hand, then that's where that's coming from. You've also got, like I've just said, you've got the drain holes on the bottom of the door, so it's always good to poke a screwdriver up and to remove any debris in there, and that will then help. Now, as you can see, this here, this door seal has been changed. Now, I'm assuming that it's been changed because they've had a leak inside the car. And rather than look at the job properly, they've assumed that it's the door seal. And I guarantee you, it won't have been the door seal. This would have been either the door panel or it's the sunroof drain. Okay, now for the front passenger side. So again, you'll need to feel around and you'll need to feel whether it's here or it's up the top. So again, we will assume that it's coming from up the top. Now, up the top, you have a couple of things actually. So you've got, firstly, you need to find out whether that is actually rainwater or whether it's coolant. Now, if it's coolant, it's going to be coming from your heater matrix, which is buried inside your dash. And that is going to be a real pain to change. And basically all that is a silly little radiator in there, which works your heaters. So that's the first thing to determine, whether it's coolant or whether it's water. Now, the next thing is, if it is water, there's a couple of possibilities underneath the scuttle again. So the possibilities underneath the scuttle on the passenger side are as follows. Firstly, you would want to be checking this. Now, this is your pollen filter tray. So if you undo those 4 screws, you would want your pollen filter tray to have no breaks in it at all. Right? If it's broken on one side, potentially this side, then your pollen filter tray is what is causing you part of the leak. So that's number 1. Number 2, you would now need to also check your pollen filter itself. So you would want to put your hand on top of the pollen filter. If your pollen filter is wet on the top, it is most likely either your tray that's broken or even possibly the scuttle panel coming away from the window. The other possibility is the pollen filter housing. Now that will want resealing, and that's the thing that the pollen filter actually sits in. There's also another rubber grommet on this passenger side, which is obviously for your bonnet release cable, which is only used if your car is the opposite side drive. Okay, so we're now going to also be looking at a joint cause. Now, when I say a joint cause, this cause can cause either side or any number of the causes that we've already gone through. Now, underneath your scuttle panel, to the far left and to the far right, there is some drain holes. Now, those drain holes can get blocked. So if those drain holes get blocked, start filling up with water, this then can cause issues with, for example, your electrics box or your pollen filter housing or your grommets, because the water is filling up underneath your scuttle. And then it's then got nowhere to go but to then drain into the inside of your car. So is it also very good thing to do would be to get them drain holes unblocked, and the simplest way to do that would be to get a screwdriver down there and unblock them. Now we're going to turn our attention to the back driver's side. So again, you've got drain holes in the bottoms of the doors, you've got your metal panel behind your door card, and on top of this, your rear floor could be wet due to an issue in the front. So just because your rear floor is wet, it doesn't necessarily mean that your problem is in the rear. It could still be your driver's door panel, for argument's sake, and it's then just flowed because of the way your car sat into the back. If you've got a leak coming from your headliner, it's going to be potentially these blue pipes at the front, which are your sunroof drains. They're the pipes for the drains. Unfortunately, this is going to mean you are going to have to remove your headliner. So see my video on that and how to remove a headliner the easy way. You can obviously want to put the pipes back on properly because they probably just come off or come loose. Now, unfortunately, as you can see here, you've got two brown pipes. They are also your sunroof drains. So again, they could have come loose, and unfortunately, its only choice is to remove the headliner. There is one other option, and for a leak coming down from your headliner, and that is, I'll just move the camera for you. See that's round thing there with the wire coming out of it. That is your aerial, and that also has a seal on the top, and that could also potentially be an area for leaking. Now, I did forget to mention that to do your aerial, you don't need to remove the headliner. You will just need to remove the rear bits to just get enough sag on your headliner to fix that. But we move on now to more issues. So you have this foam stuff here behind the rear lights. Now this looks pretty new. So this foam stuff behind the lights, that can give up, and you'll need to find some new foam replacement. That's for a wet boot carpet. You can get them for about £10–12 on the internet, and it's very simple. All you need to do is remove your rear lights and replace the foam. Simple as that. Now, on closer inspection, as you can see, we've got the water down here. We found on the video removing the carpets. On closer inspection, I thought it was the sunroof drains. Well, there's the sunroof drain there. I'll get you a better picture. I'll just zoom in for you. That black thing in front of my hand there, that is your sunroof drain. Now, this doesn't really look like it's the sunroof drain. See, the favourite thing is that this pipe can come off and sit and then just flow water into here. That pipe is on, so it can't be your sunroof drain. Unfortunately, it could be, and is most likely, the black plastic thing there in the middle. Now, that is to stop the sudden rush of air when you shut the boot. And basically, it just lets air out. Now, the issue with that is that it's obviously going to want resealing. So that was going to want removing and resealing. In order to do that, unfortunately, that means you're going to have to take your bumper off because it's right behind the bumper. Problem about taking the bumper off is you're going to have to remove the rear lights in order to do it. So that's the most likely cause for that water in this particular case. Now, just move the camera up there a little bit for you, and you'll see this here, this corrugated pipe. Now, if you trace that corrugated pipe, that is your washer fluid, and given the fact that this car is 20 odd years old, that can also develop a leak. Now, that runs from where I just pointed, from here all the way up, and it actually runs within your wiring loom of your boot lid. It also runs back this way, and then it runs along down the left-hand side of the car underneath the sills. I mean the inner side. sills, as in underneath your carpet sills, to the front. That can also end up springing a leak and then obviously causing you issues inside your car. So on this side, it's much the same. You've got your air vent down the bottom there and your rear light there. There isn't actually anything else on this side that could cause you any leaks. Okay, so we are very nearly there now. We've nearly enough got through all the leaks. The only leaks left now are to do with the boot lid. So you potentially could need your rear window resealing. If you've done a rear wiper delete, that could also be an issue. And the other issue is that pesky windscreen wash. So there's a pipe which connects to your motor in the back of here, and that pipe can come off. The other thing is the actual motor itself can end up with a hole in it, and those are the two other things that can cause leaks inside your car. Now, this is such an issue with leaking windscreen wash in your boot lid that this is most of the reason why boot locks have to be replaced or they've been seized, and why your handles rust. Have you ever noticed that a lot of these Golfs have rear boot lid handles that are rusted quite badly, locks that are quite rusted badly have to be replaced? And that is all down to, most commonly, the pipe coming off, but also your motor. So that's it, we're done. Hopefully you'll now be able to track down your leak in your car, and hopefully you'll be able to fix it. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Spot the Difference Mark IV Golf 1.6 16 valve. Thanks for watching.